Daniel, can you hear me? Thank you.
Can everybody hear me okay? All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the regular City Council meeting of April 26, 2021. And with that, I will ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Darcy Long Curtis,
Present.
Tim McLaughlin,
Present.
Rod Runyon,
Present.
Scott Randall, I see him, but he's not answering. Dan Richardson,
Present.
Mayor Mays.
Present. Scott, I believe you're muted. Well, Scott is present. Okay, we'll move on to item 3, the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Counselor Long Curtis to please lead us in the pledge.
And if you need a flag, there's one on the City of the Dalles picture. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4 is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval of the agenda as presented.
And I'll go ahead and second. That's McLaughlin was second.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Long Curtis and seconded by Counselor McLaughlin to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion?
Did you not have one addition, Mr. Mayor, to the agenda? You called me earlier and said that you were adding something to it.
If you're talking about a presentation, I was going to save that for my report. Is that what you're referring to?
There you go. Okay, very good.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agendas. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 5 is presentations and proclamations. We have with us Mr. Scott Stevenson, the Executive Director of the Dalles Art Association. And he's going to give us an update on the progress that they have made. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Stevenson.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you on Zoom. What I'd like to do tonight is just talk about the Arts and Design Committee. When Mayor Mays came into office, we saw an opportunity to create a collaboration with the city. And so we created a committee within the Dalles Arts Association. And then we're able to work to create a contract with the city to perform art services. And the concept is similar to what happens in Portland with RAC, the Regional Arts and Culture Council, where there's funding that comes and they manage projects like murals, installations, sculptures, artist projects, and support for artists within the Tri-County area of Portland. So that's what we were kind of looking at in terms of creating this. The first project that we pursued is what is now the mural. We call it all together the Dalles. What I'd like to do is just briefly give you a synopsis. It's a collaboration amongst 4 organizations: the Mural Society, the City, of course, the Dalles Arts Association, and then the Chronicle, what was formerly the Chronicle. And that partnership continued with the owner of the building, Barrett Smith. So what I'd like to do is just show you a short video that I think really captures the essence of the project. And this is really, it symbolizes not just what happened, the content within there, but this video was created by the students from Wetumpka School, which is now Riverbend School. And that was done through the support of a grant that they had. And so it was another point of collaboration. What was happening in this project was just a lot of different collaborations, and it continues. So I'll just show you this video now. And then it's a fairly short video. And it really gives a nice synopsis. And again, this was recorded, everything was done by the students.
We do art camps, we do adult classes, and we provided a space for artists to exhibit their work. When I first moved here, I started to learn more about the Dalles and started to understand the community. And I felt like there would be something that could be done that would really represent all the great aspects of the city. The project really came together in a beautiful way of collaboration, bringing two different artists together. I first met Beth about 4 years ago in Portland. It was a open studio artist tour. I was able to go in and see her work and watch her do her process.
When you drive through here, there's a really strong sense of history. And so my curiosity to learn more about the Dalles was really piqued right away when Scott approached me about doing this project. I tend to do a lot of research on the place I'm going to photograph. Then I go to the place and I just get my camera and I just walk and walk and walk and walk. I almost literally take pictures of everything, maybe taking 600 to 800 pictures. And then when I get back to my studio, it's a major editing process of picking out the best shots. Like one thing that was key in this one is I really wanted this overpass bridge had the Dalles on it. And that just seemed like a great centerpiece. And I just start putting it together like a complex puzzle. When Scott told me that Chris would be working on it, I looked at Chris's portfolio and I was like, oh yeah. And then when I met him in person, there was just immediate trust that he's going to do a great job.
When I was a young kid, I was really into philosophy. And I felt like the words that I was writing weren't matching my thoughts. In order for me to really communicate my ideas, I had to make pictures out of them. So I started painting on my own and drawing on my own, and it really made sense to me. I was first introduced to the project about a year ago. I wanted to do something for my city. But as far as collaborating with another artist, it's a good time for me to work in cooperation with others. I met Beth through this project. Beth is a photographer and I'm a painter. It's an incredible process what she does, how she gets the final image. As far as the monochromatic aspect of this project, it's something different. So it makes this image really unique and mysterious. Right now, I've got about 13 or 14 different values, and they're all numbered. So when I combine all the panels together, I know I have consistency within the values. My hope for this project is just to get more people to be excited about the arts. I feel like the arts are a really important part of our society and our culture.
Well, I hope it just every time people go by the mural or if they have a print, this piece helps show value and brings on civic pride for the Dalles.
My hope from this project that it really engages the community, and the community really has a sense of pride, a sense of ownership around this, that we had the Mural Society, we had the Chronicle, we had the city, and we had a tremendous amount of volunteers that helped organize the project, that people actually put their hand into the project, that were really has a lot of opportunities. If you want to learn more about this project, you can go to the website, altogetherthedalles.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, altogetherthedalles. So that, here, I'll mute that. So that video really kind of captures that, and you might have seen in that last little reel with the frames rapidly going through, we actually had a lot of volunteers from the community that were coming in and actually painting it. The project together, we received funds from the city, so there's $15,000 that came from the city. That's paid for Chris Pothier, so we just acted as a conduit for the funds. And then $9,000 went from the Mural Society, and that paid for the commission of the actual artwork that Beth Kirshen did. It's hard to tell sometimes the amount of effort that goes into that, but she totaled over 970 hours in putting that photo montage together. So there was a tremendous amount of time and energy that went into that. Again, the collaborative nature of it really continued. We ended up creating a website for this. It's called altogetherthedalles.com. And one of the things, it does lay out the project pretty well. It gives you some of the players inside of this. It also has a blog on here. And we had a local volunteer, Carl Verkuderen, who took a tremendous amount of time and wrote histories
for each of the buildings and cultural assets that are inside of that. So, and these are propagated within that website. So we had a local design firm donate a lot of time and energy to put this together. And then we had Carl Verkuderen putting these together on there. So that was something we were really, really proud of. And that's what really, this project started with a small idea, and it just kind of snowballed, and it continues to go on. I'll share more coming up on some future projects with it. So we finished this last year. We were expecting to unveil in March. Unfortunately, that's right when COVID was beginning. So we pushed it, and then we felt like we need to get this up. We really wanted to have it be as a celebration point, like, yay, we made it through COVID, but that never happened. So we put it up in October at Halloween. We had a celebration for that. And then we started to set our sights on the next project. So what I'd like to do is talk about the next project. We have the corner, the Discount Plus parking lot, the corner of 2nd and Washington. The owner is going to give us that portion right there to create a little pocket park. What we're going to do is a sculpture inside of that. One of the biggest lessons we learned out of All Together in the Dalles was that community nature and really engaging people and getting people's hands in there. There were so many people that were actually painting in that we really felt that it would be great to have people contribute somehow to the next project. So I found a group in Bend. It's called the People's Forge Project. I'm going to show you a little video right now that talks about how that works. In short, it's basically a group of blacksmiths. They come together and they make a sculpture. In this case, they're doing a mural. It's down in Bend. They do the framework of that, and then they actually set up forges on attached to an event. This was Winterfest in Bend in 2020. And people come and they actually hammer out pieces and create the actual artwork. So I'm going to share this video. It gives a nice synopsis of it. Then I'll talk about how we're gonna move forward with this.
This is the People's Forge Project. We're in Bend, Oregon at Oregon Winterfest 2020. This project is based around bringing professional artists in the community together to build a community-based art piece. This art piece was designed by a local painter named Monica Helms. She is a fantastic artist, and we worked with some designs that would translate well from 2D media into more of a 3D sculpture. So at this event, anyone and everyone welcome to come. We've had kids as young as I think 5 here this weekend, forging leaves and flowers, and some folks who are like well into their later years. It really brings the community together and makes a bridge between the professionals and the folks that are just everyday art appreciators. So providing all the equipment that you need, and then pairing you with folks that have the expertise to be able to bring you start to finish in the project and be successful. Everyone who has participated walks away with this feeling of success and creativity to inspire them in their own lives, to realize that the artist that we all have within us is achievable. It's very empowering for folks to be able to show up, make a piece, see where it all fits into the grand scheme, and take ownership of this art project that will be displayed in their own community. Then they can walk up to it and say, I made that piece. My name is on this plaque. This is part of all of us. This isn't just one artist making a thing, but this is everyone coming together and really making something as a community.
So the People's Forge Project, they're based down in Bend. What we'd like to do, the other big lesson that we really got out of that, the first project, was having a local artist representing community. That was Chris Pothier who did the painting. And then what we're doing with this is almost the reverse, where we would find an artist in this area, create a collaboration with People's Forge Project to then create a sculpture from that. So the big piece that's been hindering is the event aspect. So it's an event that people come together, they get to hit steel, they get to work with these blacksmiths and create those, you saw those leaves and those little pieces. And so what you really need is a big event day. So what we're looking to do is we have to kind of wait until COVID settles down. Hopefully we can tie into something like the Cherry Festival with Lisa at the Chamber, or with Neon Nights, just to find an event where you can get a concentration of people to come and participate. So that's the future project, and that's what we're looking to use the 2021 funds and then utilize the 21-22 funds to do. We estimate it might cost about 15 to 20,000, and then that depends on the scope and size and the amount of people that are involved. So as we continue this year, we were kind of really stuck with COVID and the limitations with that, as I think everybody was. We did continue to expand altogether the Dallas project. And we've been working with Dawn Hurt over at the planning department. And it's been a great collaboration working with her to work on the walking tour app and to really tie that to the mural. And so that would be a landing spot, that would be a point of entry for people to learn about the walking tour app. And so we've started the process of expanding that. We found a different program to use, AutoCast. And what I'd like to try to do is, it's a phone app, obviously, and they gave us a prototype. What I'd like to try to do at this point is I'm going to mute this and try to just use my phone to try to demonstrate that. So bear with me as I try to do this. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, there's the screen. You come in, there's the icon right here. It's AutoCast. So you click on that, it opens up. And then inside of this, you can make a selection. Oops. Sorry about that. And so here we are, there's 4 different sites in the area. Here I'm clicking on All Together the Dalles. Here's a little piece. Here's where the mural is. It gives you a synopsis of what's happening for the mural. And then you get a photo, and then you can go to another building. It can give you directions on how to get there from your present position. And then also, again, with the info there. So was everybody able to hear that? That was kind of the first time I've ever done the phone at the same time. But anyway, so that's what we're really expanding on. And Dawn has been wonderful to work with. We've established a great connection with AutoCast to do that app. And then also in conjunction with the funds that she has received from SHPO, we're working on a book, a commemorative book for the mural that takes those images and then the stories that Carl put together, and puts it together into another package. And we've also got a couple opportunities with some businesses as fundraising. So as those develop, I'm happy to share. But really what we're aiming to do with the Arts and Design Committee is really bring art out into the community, to connect the community to art through actually actively being a participant and having that representation within it. And it is somewhat modeled on the Regional Arts and Culture Council. And one of the great benefits, and that's happening right now, is that you bring a municipality and you bring a nonprofit together, and you collaborate, and you're able to bring some resources. For example, with the book and the AutoCast project, we applied for a Wasco County Cultural Trust grant as a 501c3. We could do that, and then working with Don, we were able to create some more resource to bring more products to the community. So. Thank you very much for your time. Happy to answer questions or take comments.
Any questions or comments for Scott? Okay, seeing none. Scott, thank you very much for the presentation. Well done. And very impressed with your navigational skills.
All right.
Nice job.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thanks for giving the Dallas Arts Center the opportunity and continued support from the council and from the city to keep working. So we know the budgets are tight, and we're very happy to be continuing with this work.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Dawn, for working with Scott.
She puts up with a lot.
Scott has been great. Thank you. He's done an excellent job.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Moving on to item 6 is audience participation. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject which does not later appear on the agenda. 5 minutes per person will be allowed. If a response by the city is requested, the speaker will be referred to the city manager for further action. The issue may appear on a future meeting agenda for city council consideration. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the city council on any item that is not on the agenda? I'm looking. I don't see anybody. If there is, please speak up because I don't see any hands raised. Okay, last call. We'll move on. Item 7, City Manager's Report. Ms. Kruger.
Good evening, Mayor Mays and City Council. I know I send you a weekly update, but I do have a few things for you this evening. I would like to introduce our new police chief. He's gonna pop in here any second. Tom Worthy, first day. It's been a little hectic, but we got him sworn in and got him a badge. So I wanted to welcome him, make sure that you all see his face, and I'm sure you'll be meeting him in person soon. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you have any words you want to share yet?
Yeah, just Mayor Mays, members of the council, and City Manager Kruger. I'd just like to thank you all for your faith in me and for this opportunity to lead a very fine police department. Also, Chief Ashmore, who's to my right back here, hiding just slightly off camera, for always being a good mentor and really giving me a solid foundation in coming into this position. There's a lot of knowledge transfer and many, many details that need to occur relatively quickly. And so I'm a pretty fast study. I'll pick up on that stuff as quick as I can and definitely want to be productive. And I'm very well aware that there's a important budget meeting coming up at the beginning of next month. And so we'll be prepared for that. And I'm just really eager to get started. I've got a lot of new ideas and quite a few notes already. And as we formalize those and move forward on the progression of the Dallas Police Department, I just want everybody to know that I'm available to you. And for certain, we are here to serve and keep this community safe. And so we'll do everything we can to do that. And once again, thank you for your faith in me. And I am eager to meet everyone and continue to learn in this role and provide some leadership and guidance to the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief Worthy. I just want to say that I was involved in the process to get you hired. I'm very happy you're with us. I think you come to us with an impeccable record and a successful career in law enforcement, and I'm looking forward to you having a long and successful career here in the Dalles. So thank you and welcome on behalf of myself and the City Council.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm glad to see Chief Ashmore was in the background. I've been texting him to see if he was going to be at this meeting, and he won't reply. It's like short timer or something there. Okay, a couple of other quick things I wanted to just let you know. The Public Works Director, Dave Anderson, has been working for quite a while with ODOT Region 4 on the All Roads Transportation Safety Grant. And our project has been to widen West 6th Street, it'll add a two-way left turn, sidewalks, and a bike lane, and straighten that out on West 6th, where you now have to go around that little kind of curve. And we did get awarded a $1 million grant for that work. It won't happen, I think, Dave, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think about a year before we get to that project, but we did receive notice that we got the grant. So that was exciting news. I sent the council an email last week about the company who wants to maybe come to the Dalles with e-scooters. And one of the city councilors was kind enough to reply with an idea that we take this to Traffic Safety Commission first. And so I thought that was brilliant. We're going to take it to them in May, ask for a recommendation. And then I think after we get that, maybe we'll ask the company to come to city council and make a presentation. And then we'll start gathering some other information from cities. I would really like to take our time on this issue and decide if it's right for the city, and if so, how is it best going to work for our city. I know there have been some negative impacts in other cities, but also some positives. So I'm not going to rush through that, but we will keep it moving. Also, last week I sent you the fact sheet on the brownfields. The city has a grant that Matthew Cleaves was able to get for us when he still worked for the city. So that's being worked on. The Public Works has taken over the work, and they are forming an advisory committee. And so after you have had a chance to read the information I sent you, if the city council is interested in having a presentation, we certainly have staff come and make a presentation. I just need you to tell me yes or no, or if you want a presentation on that. And my last item was just to remind you all that next Monday begins our budget meeting process. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Kruger. City Attorney's report, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended the Urban Renewal Agency meeting just last week, where the board approved an addendum to the agreement with the developer for the recreation building to set a revised timeline for completion of its redevelopment. I believe that it's expected to be completed, well, partially winter of 2021, so in the next 7 or 8 months, as well as the facade being complete in spring of 2022. I know that there's a tremendous amount of interest at the city and the council about that project specifically, so I wanted to give you an update on that. I had 3 meetings with our community development director, Ms. Alice Cannon, and planning staff regarding revising our LUDO consistent with your direction back at our visioning meeting in January, and I will update you very soon on our progress. And finally, I attended the airport board meeting last Friday, where the board has been working on approving development standards and guidelines to promote consistent architectural design, site planning, visual appearances, you name it, over at the airport. And it's important because those standards guarantee that future developments, whatever they may be, are designed and constructed in a way that both enhances existing and future developments. So it's very self-fulfilling. Dave Rasmussen, the airport manager, worked very hard at coordinating, getting those implemented. And we did a great job, I think. And so we're pretty happy with it. That is my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kara. Next on the agenda is City Council reports, and we'll start with Councilor Runyon.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. a busy day, but backing up a little bit, on April 21st, I took part in a second consecutive Wasco County Commission meeting due to some items on there that are of interest to the city of the Dalles. Basically, the Columbia Gorge Commission and information and Second Amendment discussions that were going on. On the 22nd, Q Life held a budget meeting and a regular meeting. And we had some discussion more. I mentioned in a previous meeting that the Wi-Fi over the city of the Dalles, which is owned by the city, GorgeNet has been doing some work on finding out why some people are able to get onto that Wi-Fi and others are not. And initially it was those with Android phones were pretty much able to get on, and iPhone users were not for the most part. And it had to do with a switch in the original system that was partially broken. And it was designed to get the potential user to a particular place and then check, yes, I agree to your terms, but it wasn't working and it's denied people from using it effectively for many years. So they removed that, and we'll look at how they could reconstruct something like that in the future. So I think the citizens are going to enjoy that improvement as we go along. I know I was finally, after years, able to get onto it. So that was good. This morning, the Delta Troop, 182nd Cavalry of the National Guard unit here at the Fort Dells Readiness Center deployed at 7 a.m. And as a district captain of Northeast Oregon for the Patriot Guard Riders, I had a group there and ended up being the traffic control and route organizer on a last minute thing. We had participation this morning by the Oregon State Police. I think we had 4 vehicles from the Dallas City Police. Thank you very much. And we had fire trucks from Mid-Columbia Fire and Rescue. And I believe there were 5 of those, plus a hook and ladder truck in old terminology, I guess just a ladder truck. And we had 4 motorcycles from the Patriot Guard Riders with flags and 1 in a cage, and then a big bus with our 9 local National Guards men and women who were headed to PDX, Portland International Airport, to rendezvous with another 9 from Bend, Oregon, and 101 from Albany, 119 in all. And there are some other groups, one from Longview, which is a different group entirely, but I think they were headed to the same place. And that was in Poland. And so they are in the air, probably still now at this point. So that was kind of exciting, and we wish them all well and look forward to their safe return. The other thing that happened this morning, about 9 o'clock, a regional resources meeting led by Wasco County regarding ballot measure 110. That was the ballot measure voted on mostly by the Valley to a success to lower many crimes from felonies to misdemeanors and whatnot on a variety of drugs. And certainly, I'm not in favor of that part, but as a result, there's a lot of money going to be brought into the state regarding mental health. And that's what this meeting was about this morning, when we had probably 30 online in a startup meeting there. Center for Living is the lead on that, and did a really good job this morning. And then due to all of this, I got to the police chief swearing in, but only right there where our new police chief, Tom Worthy, was giving his talk at the very end. And I'm really happy to have him here. I've met him once and look forward to talking to him again. And I also just want to say to Chief Ashworthy that I've really appreciated my interaction with you over the years. And thank you very much for your service.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Runyon. Councilor Long Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on April 13th, I served as the chair of the Urban Renewal Budget Meeting, And we had that meeting and a discussion, and we'll be bringing that to City Council for final approval. Also, the warming shelter is no longer a warming shelter. It's now officially been a transition shelter. So that has happened, and I am no longer serving down there as staff. And that's as of the 20th of this month. And then one other thing that I wanted to report, it goes along with the meeting that I had called, I guess, last fall with the police chief and the mental health providers in the hospital, just getting some information about what is available in our community when people are having a mental health crisis. I think we all agree that the police department is not the right agency to be handling most of those calls. And I did experience a resident of the Dalles who was brought out to the warming shelter and presented as homeless. After doing some sleuthing, I discovered he actually does have a home here in the Dalles and has for years. Needless to say, this person escalated and involved quite a bit of police time, which really there wasn't anything that they could do. But he was quite agitated. And the end result is that we did a commitment hearing for this person, and he was deemed not eligible for that because the standard is so high, as Chief Ashmore had discussed with us before. But really what this ends up doing is it ended up putting this person back on the street. In my opinion, just as a lay person, he was at risk. That's why we did the initial report. But when our residents see someone having a mental health crisis like this and yelling about bombs exploding and someone trying to grab them to warn them because this person actually believes that's going to happen, it's quite disturbing to people. It's quite disturbing to regular residents. It'd be disturbing to any tourists. And so I hope that we continue to meet and talk about this as a council on what we're going to do and maybe help some of our other agencies step up. The police department has been fantastic. Center for Living, frankly, not so much. They often did not come when I called them for mental health emergencies. And we simply cannot allow that to continue in our city. We owe our residents more than that. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Randall. You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
Okay, Councilor Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly tonight, I've had a couple of constituent conversations in the last week or week and a half. And I think there may be some issues raised there that will be pertinent at future meetings. And last week participated in the urban renewal meeting, and then last Friday in the community outreach team meeting as well. It's all to report for right now.
Thank you. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Mays. In addition to what our attorney talked about the airport, last Friday there was a meeting in the morning, and the manager is applying for a grant from Klickitat County to install about 10,000 feet of 6-foot high fencing around the perimeter of the airport, and that's in process. That would help with people coming in or animals, and I think would greatly improve the appearance and functionality, safety of the airport. So that's on the docket. The airport grounds maintenance remain a high priority, and they're mowing the areas next to the runways and maintaining a high visibility for planes landing. The college lease agreement will be on the May council, one of the May council meetings to approve the application to move forward for the purpose of building an aviation maintenance training program through the community college, local community college. Let's see, the managers are making huge gains in cleaning documents. We call them SOPs, standard operating procedures. And that helps with the organization and management of the airport and I really appreciate their effort. I just want to say that good things are happening at our regional airport, and that is my report, Mayor Mays.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. As part of my report, I have one item, and I would like to ask our new Chief Worthy to start your video and get former Chief Ashmore's presence known and visible.
Oh, wow.
There he is. Chief, I have a plaque that we'd like to award to you tonight. I hope everybody can see this okay.
Wow.
It says, "Thank you for your service, 2016 to 2021, Chief Ashmore." And I will give this to you at the first opportunity when I get to see you in person. And I'd just like to also say that as we all can imagine, a police chief has many constituencies that he has to worry about and serve. He's got his employees. He's got sworn and non-sworn employees. He's got us elected officials that he has to answer to, mayors, city councilmen, etc. His boss and the rest of the staff, the city manager. There's also a lot of partners and stakeholders in our community, people like Wasco County and the Chamber of Commerce, for example. And of course, we have the citizens of the Dalles who are also part of that constituency. I think it's fair to say also that being a police officer and certainly being a police chief is a very difficult job and has been more and more difficult as time has gone on for reasons that we've talked about many times. And I would like to just say that Chief Ashmore, I think that you and the culture that you created have certainly earned widespread acceptance and universal admiration for the job that you did for us. And I think every one of those constituencies that I mentioned would certainly agree with that opinion of mine. Thank you very much, Chief, for a job well done. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? I see Councilor Long Curtis is clapping and Councilor Richardson. Anybody else like to comment on that? Councilor McLaughlin.
I went looking for some words to share, and this seems to be most bearing on Chief Ashmore's performance here. There are heroes who walk among us, never looking for glory or praise. They don't seek recognition for their thoughtfulness and caring ways, living lives of deep commitment, providing for those they hold dear, steadfast with quiet strength through times of laughter and tears. You are that person, Chief Patrick Ashmore, the most selfless person by far. I'd like to thank you for being the hero that you are. After looking into my crystal ball, I see pickleball in your future, Pat. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
I think we should have expected Councilor McLaughlin to slip pickleball in there somewhere. Every issue facing the city. Anybody else? Is our city manager, I believe, would like to make some comments?
That almost made me cry, Councilor McLaughlin. Truer words were never spoken. I think the fact that you, Pat, retired from a very long career in law enforcement and you were willing to step up and be that true public servant and return to your hometown and serve us the way you did is just beyond admirable. And I can't tell you thank you enough for that.
No, like I said, I don't really have any words. That's kind of overwhelming to me. It's very complimentary, but just the fact that I was able to come home and, this is my community. These are my people. So it was actually very easy for me because I owe this community. I still owe this community, and I'm going to stay, involved with this community. So it kind of selfishly was easy for me because, like I said, this is my home and it will remain my home. And I just want to thank all of you for the immense support. I mean, from all of you through the years. It's only been just almost 5 years now, but I've gotten to know most all of you really well, and the support you've had for law enforcement. Couldn't have done what I feel have done as far as the job we've done here without your support. So goes back at all of you. We've made a good team, and I'm sure that the future is going to continue to be bright with Tom. And so thank you again for the opportunity. It was a blast. I really, really enjoyed this job a lot. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. With that, we'll move on. Thank you very much again. Item 10, the consent agenda. Items of a routine and non-controversial nature are placed on the consent agenda to allow the City Council to spend its time and energy on the important items and issues. Any councilor may request an item be pulled from the consent agenda and be considered separately. Items pulled from the consent agenda will be placed on the agenda at the end of the action items section. We have 3 items on the consent agenda tonight. First is the approval of the April 12th council minutes. Second is a resolution authorizing my appointments to various commissions and committees. I'd like to ask the council to approve the appointments of Russ Brown and Mike Kilkenny to the Traffic Safety Committee or Commission, and Bev Ege and Doug Leash to the Historic Landmarks Commission. And finally, I'm asking on the consent agenda is a resolution assessing property for the cost of abatement of junk. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Long Curtis.
Yes.
And I believe that there is a problem with resolution 21012. So I guess I'm requesting for it to be pulled so we can discuss it rather than putting it through consent agenda.
Okay.
I also agree with that. I would like to investigate more into this one.
Okay, why don't we move that to item 13C?
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the other 2 items on the consent agenda?
I will so move, Mr. Mayor.
And I'll second, Mr. Mayor. McLaughlin seconds.
It's been moved by Councilor Richardson and seconded by Councilor McLaughlin to approve items A and B of the consent agenda. Is there any more discussion? Okay, with that, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
McLaughlin, aye.
I see unanimous approval. And as I said before, that item C will be moved to item 13C at the end of the agenda, just before adjournment. Okay, next on the agenda is item 11. We have 3 public hearings tonight, all related to annexation. The first one deals with properties in the 1400 block of West 13th Street. Now is the time for a public hearing regarding proposed annexations of property into the city limits. This is a legislative hearing to receive testimony regarding the proposed annexations. I will open the public hearing and ask for a staff report. Following the staff report, I will call for testimony from the audience. At the conclusion of that testimony, the public hearing will be closed and the matter will be turned over to the City Council for deliberation and a decision. So with that, I am hereby opening the public hearing. And I would like to ask for a staff report, and I believe that would be Ms. Dawn Hurt, is that correct? Or is that Ms. Cannon?
Mayor and members of council, Dawn Hurt and I will tag team tonight. She prepared a PowerPoint and I'm going to speak to it, and she's available for questions. She is the technical expert on all of these annexations. So with that, Mayor, we have 3 public hearings. The first one is for ANX 74-21 and ANX 77-21. There are 2 properties located in the 1400 block of West 13th Street. These annexations are needed to accommodate 2 new homes that are built, that are located just right near one another, 2 doors down from one another, and those are going to be under construction very soon. And so in order to provide city services to these properties, city utilities, we are requiring annexation, and these 2 property owners have initiated. They gave us a consent to annex, so this came with their permission, and these are property owner initiated annexations. Here's a map. It's right across from a cemetery to the I guess, to the northeast. And with that, we find that it meets all of the criteria required by city code. And with that, we have a staff recommendation that the city council move to approve the proposed consent annexations for 2 properties located in the 1400 block of West 13th as detailed in the applications ANX 74-21 and ANX 77-21, and direct staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the properties to be annexed for adoption at a council meeting in May 2021. Happy to answer any questions you may have, Mayor and Council.
Okay, that concludes the staff report. Before we get to councilors' questions and comments, I'd like to open this up to the public and to the audience for any public testimony. Is there anyone in the audience or the public who would like to address the city council on this specific issue, on this specific annexation proposal? Anybody? Okay, seeing no. Did I hear something? Nope. Okay. At this point, I'm going to close the public hearing and open it up for councilor comments and questions. Does anybody on the city council have any questions of the staff or comments?
Councilor Runyon, just that the written report was very thorough, but the verbal report is always much better.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing no other comments or questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to approve the proposed consent annexations for 2 properties located in the 1400 block of West 13th as detailed in application ANX 74-21 and ANX 77-21, and direct staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the properties to be annexed for adoption at a city meeting in May 2021.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there a second?
This is Council Randall. I second.
It's been moved by Councilor McLaughlin and seconded by Councilor Randall to approve the annexation. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, our next public hearing. I'm opening another public hearing for another annexation on East 17th and 18th Streets, and turning it back over to Ms. Cannon.
Mayor Mays and City Council, thank you again. This is for consideration of annexation ANX 76-21 for properties located in the 2500 block of East 17th and East 18th Streets, further described as 1 North 13E 11A, tax lots 1400, 1500, 1501, 1502, and 1503. And this was, as it turns out, 2 of the properties, the 2 properties on the north, and I don't know, Don, if you want to show with your cursor, the 2 properties on the north side of this are properties that were the subject of an out-of-city water and sewer request, was approved last meeting by council, and that approval allowed our public works director and his team to go ahead and start working on a sewer main extension to those 2 northern properties. So all that being said, we did collect prior to your approval of the out-of-city utility request for the 2 northern properties. We collected consent annexes for those 2 properties agreements. We already had in our possession the other properties to the south. And so we decided to bring all of these together in one city initiated annexation. And so that's what you have before you today. And all of these properties, you see a little kind of a pie-shaped wedge property that's an extension of right-of-way. 17th Street right-of-way, and then also the associated right-of-way along 18th Street to the south of the southern properties. So with that, this was a nice opportunity to bring all the properties together and annex at one time. And this will accommodate some new homes in the area. We will see homes on all of these lots within the coming year, we expect, with 2 coming sooner than later. So with that, we offer a staff recommendation. We ask the council to move to approve the proposed consent annexation for properties located in the 2500 block of East 17th and East 18th Street as detailed in application ANX 76-21 and direct staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the properties to be annexed for adoption at a council meeting in May 2021. Happy to answer any questions, council.
Thank you. Before we get to that, I'd like to ask if any member of the audience or any member of the public that would like to comment on this specific annexation proposal. Anybody? Okay, with that, hearing none, I will close the public hearing and move to the city council and ask the city council if they got any questions or comments about this annexation proposal. Anybody? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I would ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion. Move to approve the proposed consent annexation for properties located in the 2500 block of East 17th and 18th Streets as detailed in application ANX 7621 and direct staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the properties to be annexed for adoption at a council meeting or at the council meeting in May 2021.
This is Councilor Richardson. I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilor Long Curtis and seconded by Councilor Richardson to approve the annexation. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye. McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Finally, we have our third public hearing to consider annexation on East 10th and 12th Streets. And I'm opening the public hearing again. And I would like to ask Ms. Cannon for yet another staff report.
Mayor and council, thank you again. This is an annexation of which you held a series of public hearings on for the property to be developed by Legacy Homes. It's located in the 2800 block of East 10th and 12th Streets. And prior to those hearings, the property owner did sign a consent to annex the properties associated with that development. And so at this time, it's appropriate to bring that annexation forward. So this is a developer or a property owner initiated annexation. The properties are outlined here on the map, and it will be subdivided soon. The preliminary plat has already been approved, and will begin to be construction on the site in the coming weeks and months. And this is, I don't have anything more to offer except for the recommendation. And this will also includes, I see that Dawn was pointing, I apologize, she was pointing to some right-of-way. The right-of-way around the property will also be annexed. So you can see that there on Richmond Street and 12th Streets. Okay, so staff offers this recommendation to move to approve the proposed consent annexations for 2 properties located in the 2800 block of East 10th and East 12th Streets as detailed in application ANX 75-21 and direct staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the properties to be annexed for adoption at a council meeting in May 2021. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. Is there anyone in the audience or any member of the public that would like to comment on this proposed annexation? Anybody? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for any comments or questions from the city council. Seeing none, I'll now ask for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Randall. I move to approve the proposed consent annexations for two properties located at the 2800 block of East 10th and 12th Streets as detailed in application ANX 75-21 and direct staff to prepare an ordinance declaring the properties to be annexed for adoption at a council meeting in May 2021.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there a second?
McLaughlin will second.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes, I will second.
It's been moved by Councilor Randall and seconded by Councilor McLaughlin to approve the proposed annexation. Is there any other comments or deliberation on the part of the council? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is item 12A, an authorization to order contract for the Dog River Pipeline Design Professional Services. I trust that would be Mr. Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of council. Council will recall that the city received final authorization from the Forest Service to proceed with the Dog River Pipeline Replacement Project with a decision signed on October 1st of 2020. In the latter part of 2020, we were able to develop and advertise a request for proposals or RFP for engineering services to complete all the design for the Dog River Pipeline Replacement Project. Because the contract, engineering contract would be over $100,000, Oregon administrative rules require that the city utilize what's called a qualification-based selection process, or QBS. Under QBS, the city is only allowed to evaluate the qualifications of a proposer and the quality of the proposal that they submit to do the work that's being requested, and there's no consideration of price in the initial selection of the contractor. Once the proposals are received and evaluated and ranked, then the city is allowed to enter into negotiations with the top ranked proposer to negotiate a contract. If those negotiations were to be unsuccessful, the city can then discontinue negotiations with the top ranked contractor and move into negotiations with the second rank. Utilizing that process, the city issued the RFP. Normally for a pipeline project or the design of a pipeline can be fairly straightforward. However, this project is complicated by the need to coordinate with a number of different agencies to get approval for different elements of the project. And that certainly adds to the complexity of the project. This project specifically needs to coordinate and seek approvals from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife for fish screening and passage systems, Oregon Division of State Lands and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for some in-water work permits, Oregon State Historical Preservation Office for some historic preservation elements of the project, and the U.S. Forest Service and recreational groups to minimize the impact to users, since we're going to be doing this project in close proximity to a very heavily used recreational trail on the forest. All of this additional coordination with different agencies certainly adds effort to the project, and it adds a lot of uncertainty. And the city staff was certainly interested in trying to be sure we got as much interest in the project from engineering firms and as much competition as we could for the project to be able to pull together the best project. We advertised the RFP for 6 weeks, which is a little bit longer than we normally do. I think we were successful in getting the word out about the project because we actually had 12 firms attend our pre-proposal meeting for the project. Ultimately, however, due to the complexity of the project and how quickly we wanted the work done, which is to try to complete the design within 9 months, we received 3 proposals. Those proposals were re-evaluated by an evaluation team of 5 city employees. And it was Jacobs Engineering Group was ranked as the most qualified proposer with the best proposal for the project. There were a number of reasons for that, and I've outlined those in the staff report, but they provided a more complete package to look at a greater number of fish screen designs. They plan to include input from a pipeline construction contractor who has experience constructing pipelines in forested environments, which we felt would be really helpful in making sure that the design was actually buildable and efficient. The Jacobs proposal had the best outreach to the recreational users. The proposal from Jacobs was also the most comprehensive in terms of the permitting support that's going to be needed for the project. With all of that anticipated, we ended up negotiating a 40+ page scope of work for this contract and a not to exceed price of $1,822,442. I'd mentioned that $374,000 of that is related to continued permitting for the project. And those cost estimates were based on some experience that Jacobs has had permitting similar projects with some of these same agencies. So they had a basis to be working from to develop the estimates. With that $1.8 million number, that would be a cost not to exceed. And our project implementation team will continue to be looking for ways to save money during the project, such as trying to do the needed tasks with fewer meetings, for example. Related to budget, within Fund 53, the Water Reserve Fund, $10,267,977 are budgeted in the current year for the Dog River Pipeline Replacement Project. City previously awarded a contract of up to $82,000 from that amount for the Timber Management Consultant Services contract, leaving a balance of well over $10 million. So there are funds adequate available for this contract. And with that, it's staff's recommendation, the City Council moved to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Jacobs Engineering Group in an amount not to exceed $1,822,442 for contract number 2020-009, the Dog River Pipeline Replacement Design Project.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just brief question or refresher question. Director Anderson, please remind me what approximately is the length of pipeline we're talking about for this project?
3.5 miles is the length of the existing pipeline. One of the design tasks will be to see if we can shorten that up a little bit. For instance, on the discharge end, maybe we don't need to go so far down over the hill.
And secondly, what's, again, a refresher, what's the desired or expected construction time frame? When do you want to build this thing?
Next year and the year after. We're hoping to complete this design contract in the February-March time period of 2022. We would go out to bid for construction then spring of 2022 and begin construction that summer and probably carry over into the summer of 2023.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor
I'm very pleased to move to authorize the city manager to enter into contract with Jacobs Engineering Group in the amount not to exceed $1,822,442 for contract number 2020-009, the Dog River Pipeline Replacement Design Project.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to second that if I could.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor McLaughlin and seconded by Councilor Richardson to approve the contract. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Laughlin.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. It's great to see the progress being made on this project.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 13A is the approval of the annual tourism report and proposed budget. I see our chamber executive director is here, Ms. Farquharson.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City Manager, and also the team that is helping to keep our city go every single day. You guys are greatly appreciated. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what this last year has meant, what has happened, what has not happened, and what we're hoping to propose through this next year to hopefully make up some economic impact that we did not have this last year. So first off, you all have your packet. I just want to quickly, I'm not going to pull every one of these items up on the screen. The lodging report is the one that I'm going to reference to in your packet. It is past all of my scope of work and goes right into the annual report. And we had been told at the very beginning of all of this last year that there could be anywhere up to a 50% cut or loss in our lodging. We have just a sampling. This is not all of our hotels. This is the report that we received from Travel Oregon. This just gives us a sampling of what took place last year and compares it to the previous year. Obviously, every month had a loss, some of them greater than the others. But it wasn't at that 50%, which we are glad and grateful that it didn't dive that deep. Like I said, this is a sampling. So if you were to include some of the hotels that are maybe not in this, it would actually increase that margin of loss. So this is, like I said, a sampling, but this kind of gives us a trend of where we were compared to the Pacific Northwest and where we were with the US. And you'll see sometimes we totally align with the Northwest, and some of that has to do with the weather parts along with COVID. And then there's times that we align with that United States. But it's very interesting to look at those different trends. We are really hoping that this year, we know it's still going to be less than what our full potential years are, but there is a demand and there's people who want to travel. And they're doing it. They started way before spring break. They were already coming into our office and asking us what to do and where to stay. And that brings me to the lobby statistics. You'll see that the good comparison is we've given you all the numbers for our walk-ins and our phone and all of those fun things. But if you go down to the tiniest, sorry guys, the tiniest part of the chart, you'll see that for 2019, 2020, which keep in mind, we still had quite a few months there that were COVID affected. We had a total of 1819. We have already had 1,865 walk-ins, and that's still without April, May, and June. Now, compared to the previous year, which was 4,500 walk-ins, obviously we're down from that quite a bit, but we are encouraged that we're encouraged but cautious that our numbers are already higher than what they were last year. We are making sure that when the visitors do come, we are telling them what our county levels are and what we're doing and what is expected at the different locations. I will say the biggest request on the phone through the web is where are breweries, wineries, and dining outside? So, you know, that is safe to the visitor's appearance and makes them feel comfortable, but they still want to explore. So they are looking for those the most. If you switch to the website statistics, we did a rundown. Basically, you guys had this before. Some of this you are new. So if you have any questions, please jump up and down your seat or raise your hand or just yell at me and I will grab you off the screen. But those are our sessions. Those are our users and the page views. And you see it just varies quite a bit. I can tell you right now, July of last year, the biggest was because we were doing all about the cherry, and actually that got out further than the Dalles. So the people were inquiring and things to do. We've also given you some the top pages of what activities was there, our top cities. We always have had Portland, Hood River, and Seattle. They usually take turns each month as to who is the highest as far as attention coming to our page. But you'll see we have Portland at 2,000 users and Hood River is at 1,900, Seattle's 415. That's the average for the whole year. The last few months, Portland, Hood River, and Seattle have actually been neck and neck with the Dalles as far as second and third places on our website hits. And then just fun and demographics, giving you the top ages and female or male. And usually, always, there's more females on the internet because we're doing all the homework for the guys. I'll just tell you that right now. So that's what's happening there. And then if you go to the advertising samples, I just gave you a little sample of some of the advertisements we're doing in publications. These are going out both online for the digital presence and then in actual publications that are being printed. We have a wide variety of different publications we work with in making sure that we have a presence. We actually just sent an ad into True West. They are a publication that the headquarters are in Arizona, but they are a US-wide publication, and it's the old traditional history and historical. Well, they're doing a huge feature on the Oregon Trail. They also just honored 2 months ago the Fort Dalles Museum as the best preserved museum. It's one in the top 10. So those are things that we're helping to feed all of that information. It really helps that a very, very good friend is on the True West staff. And so she's always looking for the next thing from the Dalles. And so we were so tickled that the Fort Dalles Museum got chosen. The one thing I do want to bring your attention to, and we'll see if I can make this all work, is you do have a media print. I just gave you samples. There's a ton, for lack of better informal words. There is a lot of places we've been printed, digital, magazines, newspapers. So I just gave you a few with the actual links, and let's see if this works. And we'll go here. So you should be seeing an article by That Oregon Life for the Oregon's oldest bookstore, which we know is the best bookstore in this side of the Mississippi. But there again, these are stories that are being picked up by information we throw out there. They even are featuring the Granada Theater, and then they have a great picture of Clint's. But we love these old history pictures and having some people that we are very familiar with in our community and just talking about that and giving us the exposure. So that is one. But the one that we're most proud of, I'm going to make you endure and watch. And let me just double check up here so that I don't mess up this time. We got it. This is a very cool contract we worked on with Central Daily, which is in Bend, the Central Oregon Daily News. And they do the Destination Oregon features. You've seen them perhaps if you're watching the news down there. They have thousands of viewers on this, and it's right smack in the middle of their first edition of the evening news. And we worked with Dave Jones, and I've known him for a long time. And so he said he wanted to do stuff. So we got him itineraries, connections. And the first one they did was on the bald eagles and our Eagle Watch. And I want you to know before you watch this, that Eagle Watch, they did a social media post. Their one social media post had 24,000 engagements, 258 comments, which you know that that's quite a few, but 1.8 thousand shares on that single post that they listed about the Dalles, and this is about the Eagles. So here we go.
Majestic, powerful, regal. The bald eagle is many things.
Oops, hang on. We'll go back to small. I was trying to be nice. Of course. There was a problem, really? Hang on just a second. I'm going to make this work. The Lincoln family of luxury SUVs are at Robertson Lincoln. Get a new Lincoln with low APR for 60 months.
Here we go.
Majestic, powerful, regal. The bald eagle is many things to us humans, and right now they are one more thing, accessible. This is the Dalles Dam on the Columbia River. Right now, it is home to literally dozens of bald eagles. Think of the trees by the dam as a restaurant and the river as an all-you-can-eat buffet for raptors.
So this is a communal winter roost site. It's common to see 40 to 60 eagles in this location.
Seriously?
In the winter.
Wow.
Morning is a great time to come. They're really active in the morning. You can see a lot of them hunting for fish right now.
The visitor center at the Dalles Dam is the ideal place to get a bird's eye view of these bald eagles.
We got a great location for people to enjoy. You can see there's people over here,
Right.
photographers love to come.
It's a good idea to bring a spotting scope or binoculars. A camera with a telephoto lens is even better, and warm clothes are a must.
So they look like footballs up there. Oh, there's a couple flying.
15, 16, 17, 18. I got 24.
Yeah, I got 25.
You're cheating.
There's one in the air.
What? Oh, yeah.
Lucky us, we were given special permission to go to a restricted area out on the dam to get video of these majestic raptors.
There are winter guests because they're here to survive the winter. Areas where up north food is harder to find because things are hibernating or it's under snow. They travel south in search of food and they are here until it starts to warm up. So another reason they like this area too is these trees you can see are very tall. They like snags, the dead trees that are still standing like this poplar tree here.
These eagles might look like they're enjoying a peaceful, easy feeling, but they are not taking it easy. They're scanning the water for their next meal.
This area is blocked by the wind on one side, at least, so that's great for them. And then they have other areas to perch. Those power towers there, you can see there's a few eagles on the tower. So anywhere where there's the tallest trees, lots of trees.
Good viewpoint.
No human disturbance. They have a great view of the river.
Okay, you can watch the rest of the story, as an old friend on the radio would know. Later on, I've given you all those links. For those of you who are watching, just call me, I'll give you the link. But we had a feature, we had 5 different features. Hang on just one second, let me get back to normal screen. So we had 5 features through that one contract. It was great exposure. They did the National Sign Museum, they did Fort Dalles Museum, they did Andy Nichols, the Mural Society. There's one with all the different murals. They interviewed for that. So these were featured all on the evening news with the Central Oregon Daily News. And the hits have just been amazing on this. So that was one contract. We also have contracted with 3 different TV stations over the past year and a half. These are all going to be outdoor recreation, mostly fishing, and here's why. I can get our commercials into those TV shows with at the quarter of the cost as it would cost me to go into regular TV with our commercials, and our commercials are embedded within their show. And then not only do they have them on the sportsman's channels and all of that, but they also have them on YouTube. As we know, that's where a lot of people are gravitating, no longer the traditional watching of programs. And so our commercial stays with the episode that we're embedded with. So no matter who picks it up on YouTube, the Chow's commercial is still there. So I'm going to show you if I can do this right again. One of the, actually 2, they are only 30 seconds, I promise, short and sweet, but it's just 2 of the commercials that we've had. The 3, we have a family oriented one, an activity one, and then grown-ups, and it's basically just showing some of the nightlife in the Dalles and things to do. So let me grab those and see if I can do that for you.
You haven't been here, but you know it. You've heard the sounds, smelt the air, and seen where your heart lands, if not yet. You haven't been here, but you've longed for a destination near or far, where the young and old find rest and excitement, not apart. You haven't been here, but you're on your way to a place not far. Explore the Dalles.
Okay. And then we did some in women's voice.
You haven't been here, but you know it. You've heard the sounds, smelt the air, and you've seen where your heart lands, if not yet. You haven't been here, but you've longed for a destination near or far, where time spent with loved ones and friends will go into the night and last in memories for a lifetime. You haven't been here, but you're on your way to a place not far. ExploreTheDalles.com.
So we have those 2 sets of 3 commercials that we've used with several different stations. We're also working with a outdoors radio show. There again, it is outdoors because I can afford those and be in many more cities. When we started with this company, they were broadcasted in 30 cities weekly, and our commercial was embedded with their weekly show. They are now in over 100 cities across the US, and they have not increased our price much. So we think this is a great bargain. But what we have noticed is a direct correlation, because we can see what's been shared or what's been looked up on our website and from the different cities. And we got these odd cities and we're like, what is this? Well, they actually correlated with the list of the cities that those radio shows were being aired. So they are paying attention, they are seeking our information. And once again, it is a great way for us to be in lots of cities at a very affordable price and making those dollars go as far as they can. We will be changing out commercials with that radio show to what is happening into our community. So let's just say All About the Cherry may be getting into those radio shows, or if we have a car show, whatever we have going, we can change those commercials, and instantly in 100 different cities, we can be talking about the Dalles and what is going on in our community. So that is those pieces. Do I have any questions before I go into what we hope to accomplish this next year?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Lisa Runyon.
Evening, Lisa. Good job, as usual. Hey, I had a question. I heard earlier in the week or the last 2 weeks that Main Street in their transitioning is sending the tourist boats back to the chamber. Is that correct, number one?
So there's conversations. They need board's approval. I'm waiting for board's approval. There is conversation, but that has not, I don't have the final word on that. I'm waiting. We've had conversations with Julie. I'll be up front. We've played out, I think, probably 30 different scenarios that we can do. And so is Main Street, and so have I. But Sarah, here's the key part to take away with that. I don't have an answer for you, but I do have that Sarah and I are meeting weekly. We are excited about being partners. We're excited about doing things together, the bigger footprint that we can create. And so that's where we are. As soon as we have those decisions with all of the parties that we do the best that's going to be for the city, the best that's going to be for the Main Street, and the best that's going to be for the chamber, we will announce it.
Okay, appreciate that. And that kind of explains why it's not in the budget that's being presented tonight, because it has not, doesn't have legs yet, does not have legs. And we don't have boats either. I do have a follow-up back on the lodging report. You mentioned that not all the motels, hotels participate. Is it just they missed the memo, or?
No. It's not a choice of participation. It is a company that Travel Oregon hires, and they work with specific chains of hotels. So it is a sampling. Now, what the fortunate thing is this is Wasco County's report, but they only use the hotels that are in the Dalles for their Wasco County sampling. But there again, it's not all of the hotels, and it's not the hotel's choice. They have a predetermined list of hotels that they work with.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on this part of the report? I have one. On the website statistics page,
Uh-huh.
is page 54, for those on the packet. The top four cities, the Dalles, Portland, Hood River, and Seattle, comprise 37%. I just added those numbers together. About 37% of the total users.
Mhm.
So the other 63% comes from cities other than those four that are listed, and none of those equal 2.14%, or
No, there is probably 200 to 300 cities or more listed in that list as you dive deeper. I didn't want to list all of them.
right, but none of them, obviously none of them.
No, those are the biggest demographics, the largest. I took the top four.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 that are probably right underneath that. I would say the top 10 are probably underneath that too. But as far as being that high, then it's a lot smaller. And like I said, it's all over the US and world.
Right. Thank you.
Mhm. Good, great questions though. So what does this next year hold? Well, the biggest lesson we have learned from COVID is that tourism makes an economic impact on our community at great lengths, and it takes all kinds of tourism, including the ships, our guests, events, hotels, all of that together does pump a huge amount of money into our community, both to our businesses and for the tourism tax. So this year, we're still being cautious on our promotion as we know our numbers have skyrocketed again. So we have a digital campaign presently right now ready to launch. We've been a little reserved because we didn't know where the numbers were going. One of the things that we always want to make sure is that we're encouraging safe for our community. And protecting our community the most. Yes, we would love to bring dollars in tomorrow with every visitor you can think of, but we also want to be safe for our community and making sure our businesses can even stay open. So you'll notice that the chamber has actually been working with the county on a campaign to bring awareness on mask distancing and vaccination, just for purely the numbers to keep our businesses open and operating for that reason. So we have we're working with a digital marketing and ready to go with 2 different sets of campaigns. One is the Did You Know, just kind of familiarizing, getting people to remember what there is here, that are all those amazing things that we have to offer. And then as we get through into the midsummer to early fall, we will be attacking to come, explore, action words and action campaign through digital, which will reach, that's where people are right now. Less print, more digital footprints is what we're looking at and working on those campaigns. So that is for that. And then we will continue to foster the relationships that we have over the past 7 or 8 years with FAMs and bringing those publications into our community, because it's always the feature stories that get more attention. So we're working with Taste and Home right now, getting a feature for the Dalles. Once again, it'll be midsummer to late summer for that prints. And so we're always kind of trying to foster that connection, those features, so that the Dalles can shine like we do. It's amazing every time we bring FAM, which is a familiarization tour for those that are new to that. And it's where we bring a publication and we woo them. There's no other word. We just woo them, and then we end up wowing them, and they fall in love with the Dalles and they all want to move here. So they end up writing a great feature that just really touches all of the great things that we have, and it gets the interest of the reader and gets them here to come visit us. So we will be working on those different things, working on our targeted audience. I will continue we're working on some cycling and trying to do that. And And then I would love to someday have some assets here that bring certain demographics, but we'll work on those. Meanwhile, I do have water recreation and all of those things. We love it that we have a dock right here. I'll tell you, that was, I think, one of the very few boat docks that was open during COVID when everything was shut down. The Corps had all of theirs. I can only imagine the traffic that was down there, people just going out and recreating and fishing, because we were one of the few that were open in the gorge. Everything else was shut there. So I'm going to bring your attention to that fun thing. They're fun for me because I'm a numbers person, but my budget and how I'm proposing the different things. I actually wanted to give you a comparison of where we were 2019-20. That was the healthiest budget that we've had so far over the last 10 years. And then, of course, with COVID, I had come to you and said, look, we cannot do the budget that we were going to. There is no way the hotel tax can support it. So I and Julie sat down and we crunched numbers and came up with a number that we could still promote and do our job at the visitor center, but also be within reason so that the city would not be overextended as far as that budget promise, with the hotels not meeting that. So that's the last thing we ever want to do. And then this is the 21-22 budget proposal. I kept some of the numbers the same. Obviously, the biggest change on that entire one is marketing. And if this goes through, it'll be like Christmas for me compared to last year. We stretched the dollar, folks. Oh my gosh, we stretched and stretched, and we had some really good things pop up as far as TV shows and new offers. And Lisa and I on this end, we're just going, okay, do we have enough in here to make that, because we just can't turn it down. And we did. We found ways to make it happen. And so that is the biggest change, is that marketing piece. And we've already optimistically have half of that committed for the 2021 or the 21-22 year, because some really good things are happening. And then we really are working with that public relations, which is actually the digital marketing person that I'm working with. And we're super excited about the campaign that we can do with her to really reach people. If they're going to travel, they better travel here. We want their dollars coming into our community and the fun that they can bring. The one thing that we're super excited about adding is the grants. Obviously, no events last year. We didn't do any event grants. And for those of you who are new and not familiar, this is an opportunity that we get to do, and people apply for this grant from us, coming out of this tourism budget. So if they're putting on an event, marketing is expensive. It just is flat out expensive. So they can apply to a grant from us, and we will do 10 grants of $750 that helps them pay for those marketing efforts, so that we can get the word out further and more people attend that event. So it's a successful event for those who are putting them on. The last thing you want to do is go through all that work of putting an event on and very few people show. So this is what we do. So I'm excited. I put that in there that we can do this. I would love to do more, but right now I think this is an obtainable amount and a doable, very realistic, and that piece of it. And then printing has gone up, so therefore printing cost increased a little bit, but I'm still not at full budget compared to where we were 2 years ago. So that is what we are hoping to do. We're super excited. Like I said, our visitor center, we've been open for quite a while with all the mandates listed on the door, but we've been open since before spring break. And our visitor has, it's been amazing. We've been surprised how many people are coming in and traveling, but they're just tired of being home in their four walls and they want to get out. And guess what? We have 300 days of sun. So we are a prime location, especially if they come from a rainy community, and what they're doing. So that's kind of we have a lot that goes into that. And if someone wants to sit down with me and go into every little detail, I'll sit here and do it, because I get excited over what we're able to do and the people that we connect with. I have a crazy contact list, And these people, like I said, when they come here, they want to come back. So we get them to write another article because they don't get to come here for free unless they produce something. And so, but that is what we're doing. We've actually improved our lobby. For those of you who have not been out for a while, you might stop by. We have a new reception desk that is much more COVID friendly and staff friendly. I now have an escape route behind the back where I didn't have that before. But we are we're floored with the people who come, but we're also thrilled because they're so fun to visit with and connect with. And they really are seeking out the amazing things in our community to do. But I'm excited for this next year. I'm hoping, like the rest of you, this ends soon so that we can get back to rolling up our sleeves and bring tourism at its full rumble for this community. Do you have any questions? It's so much easier just to answer questions.
Any questions for Lisa?
I have a couple, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
Councilor Richardson.
Thank you. Lisa, good evening. Thanks for being here and explaining much of what you do. I appreciate it. Can you tell me what, in really round numbers, what's the chamber's total annual budget, plus or minus?
My annual budget for the chamber
Yes.
itself, that's usually not something I discuss out in public.
I'm just curious how big a piece of that is this in just a really round percent, perhaps?
You are well, okay, so let me ask you this. Am I using COVID numbers or before COVID?
You tell me.
So
you've had a number of years doing this.
Yeah, so typically this runs at a quarter to a little more than that of yeah.
Okay.
This is about a quarter, sometimes it's a quarter to a half of what our normal budget is.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Does that answer that question? Sorry.
Yes, you sure did. City Manager Julie, or whomever appropriate, how much of the chamber tourism budget, tourism services budget that we're discussing comes from the transient room tax? Is that a straight across?
It's all transient room tax revenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, all right, thank you. And the last question I have is, in the staff report, you mentioned that this proposed budget is in alignment with the city's expectations and for tourism as were outlined in a work session back in 2018.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if there's any thought to when we revisit that and just sort of make sure we're on track and getting not just getting what we want, but we're headed where we want with regard to tourism and promotion and such.
Yeah, we could do that again. That was several years ago, and the city council was interested in hearing from other agencies and the public. We had a pretty long work session, and a few things came out of that the chamber was able to incorporate into their tourism contract that has worked well.
Good deal.
Also in my staff report mentioned that this proposed budget tonight, of course, it still has to go to the budget committee for approval and back to the city council for adoption, but this is represents about 75% of what we would consider a normal tourism budget.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's helpful to me in understanding the context of these things. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the council?
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Councilor Randall was first. Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you. Yeah, Lisa, I'm just curious. I noticed the billboard advertising was dropped completely for the proposed budget. Is there a reason for that, or is that not effective?
One, it's super expensive. We tried it 1 year. That's a lot of money to put, because What you're seeing is it was 11 and 14. We paid for part of it one year and part of it the next. So it was really $25,000 for 12 months for 2 billboards. And the only billboards that were really truly available at the time were right here. If I were to do a billboard again, it would be right outside Troutdale, headed on the eastbound traffic, but you don't want to know how much that one is. That would use up more than my entire marketing budget. And I'm just not ready to sacrifice for one aspect of advertising. So when we get to be more flush and we have more tourism dollars, then we might talk to Chris Zukin and just ask him what the averages are. And if, for some numbers before we go that route again. But ideally, I either want it in Troutdale or I want it leaving Pendleton. Yeah, not right outside the Dalles, but we tried it and just to see, but for 25 grand, that was a lot of money to come out of as you can see what that percentage would be out of that budget. So when we get to have a little bit more of the hotel tax and we see that coming in, then that's something I will sit down with Julie after I have some numbers from Meadows Outdoors.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Councilor Long Curtis, did you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to comment, and actually it dovetails nicely with that, that I really appreciate the fact that you track all the numbers and you're figuring out what the return on your investment of those tourism dollars are. And always looking to increase that, because I know a lot of times we give money and it's easy to just say, it's sort of like anecdotal evidence of how well we've done with it, but we actually have hard numbers with you for so many things, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dars. Appreciate that. I love stats, so you guys get a lot.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Mayor Mays, I just have a comment.
Go ahead, Councilor McLaughlin.
That if those are eagles that I took my grandchildren and telescope out to Super Park, and it's memories that'll last a lifetime. So if you haven't done this, go out to the park and view. It's an amazing sight. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, looking for a motion to approve the scope of work and the budget for the chamber.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Randall. I move to approve the proposed tourism scope and budget with Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $245,000.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councilor Randall and seconded by Councilor Long Curtis to approve the proposed tourism work scope and budget with the chamber for $245,000. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye. McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you again for working with us and allowing me to be your partner for that tourism promotion and your Chamber of Commerce. Oh, before I go, I have more numbers for you, but it's not to do with tourism. So I just wanted to give you a little update what the chamber people are doing when you're not looking. We wanted to let you know that over this past year, we are super excited that we got to work with 3 different grants to our businesses, 2 of them with the City of the Dalles. There was 172 applications through that, and $217,000 was dispersed between those 3 grants. And then the PPE supplies, you've heard me talk about it upside down and backwards. I wanted to let you know that the first distribution was $600,000 worth of supplies. We did that in 4 separate distributions to equal 580 separate orders. And then we have an upcoming distribution of the final shipment of PPE, which is another $450,000 worth of supplies. And right now we presently have 170 orders for that. So that's over $1 million that will have come to Wasco County as PPE supplies that the chamber has helped to distribute to all of those businesses, which equals 750 separate orders that's helping those businesses out, that's free to them. And we're blessed and thrilled that we got to do this for our community. So I just wanted to let you know what we've been doing as our side gig.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 13B, approval of a resolution authorizing the transfers of budgeted amounts within the general fund. Ms. Wilson, I'm assuming, is going to be giving a staff report on this.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. You have the budget resolution number 21-010, authorizing transfers of budgeted amounts between categories of the general fund of the City of the Dalles adopted budget, making the appropriations and authorizing expenditures for the fiscal year of June 30th, 2021. This evening, I'm asking that we transfer $135,000 from the contingency line item to cover $10,000 is needed in the police department. This is for extra tows. Originally, the police department budgeted $11,000 this fiscal year in needs of tows, but they're needing additional money to cover an additional 4 tows, which should get them through the end of the budget year. In 2019-20, they actually spent $18,000. So they just estimated this year that it wasn't going to be as much needed, but they are asking for some additional funds in that area. And also we're asking for an additional $125,000 for the legal department to cover additional legal services. The legal services would be for the airport, the risk management litigation, and for our monthly legal services. We are still below what we have normally done in the past when we actually had a legal department. So we are still falling below that line item as budgeted in previous years. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Wilson? Okay, Councilor McLaughlin?
No, I have no questions. I was going to just make the motion when you ask.
I'm asking.
All right, I will be happy to do this. I move to adopt resolution number 21-010, authorizing transfer of funds between departments of the general fund of the City of the Dalles budget, making appropriations and authorizing expenditures for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Been moved by Councilor McLaughlin and seconded by Councilor Runyon to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we get back to item, what is now item 13C, the formerly item 10C, which was on the consent agenda, which is a resolution assessing real property for the cost of abatement of junk and garbage and vegetation. Councilor Long Curtis, would you like to address this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So I had read the staff report previously, but I didn't have a chance. I didn't read the actual resolution until right before the meeting. And I realized that after the third whereas, there is, I think it's just missed from before. It's a different address and then a different name. And then on the second page, it lists a date of March 29th, 2015. And as the notice was given March 25th, 2021, and Mr. Bright was advised he had until March 29th, 2015 to file objections. And first of all, 4 days seemed short, but then I realized the year was wrong as well.
Okay, so your first issue is on the second page is with the date of March 29th, 2015, for obvious reasons. And on the first page, you're taught the owner, could you repeat? The owner of the property was,
Well, in the paragraph right below it, I shuffled my paper, so I don't have it in front of me, but it's a different name. It's not Keith Bright down there. And also the property address, even though the amount is correct, the address that the abatement took place is not the same address as, it's not 761 Richland Court.
yeah, it's 409 East 8th Street. Okay, Councilor McLaughlin, did you have the same concerns?
Well, I noticed those things and I questioned them, but no, normally before I make a yay or nay vote on these assessments, I ask if this person is here and would like to speak. And is Keith Bright present? No, that answers my question then. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay. I would have to ask the staff to respond to the inconsistencies. Is this, do we have to resubmit this and?
Mayor Mays, I would like to pull this from the agenda and correct it and bring it back to you in the proper format.
Okay, so I trust that'll probably be May 10th, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, is that okay with everybody on the city council?
That was a good catch. Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you.
Fairness is always important.
Okay. That concludes our agenda. Is there any other business that anybody would like to raise before the city council? Any other business?
None.
Okay, with that, I'm adjourning the meeting. Thank you all very much for attending. Thank you.